Have you ever had one of those moments, a real close call, where your life could have just zigged instead of zagged and everything would be different? We all live with risk, right? From these tiny split-second choices we make to cosmic forces that are completely out of our hands. So today, let's explore that razor's edge we're all walking on.
I mean, this quote from a Reddit user just nails it, doesn't it? It's that feeling, that deep breath of relief you take when you realize you dodged a bullet. We aren't just the sum of the things we've done, but also all those things we almost did. Those near misses are what give us perspective. It's the perfect place to start.
So that's our big question for today. How do we actually do it? How do we navigate a life that's constantly lived on this edge? We're going to look at everything from our own dumb mistakes to the physics of failure, from the chaos in our own tech, to these massive silent collisions happening light years away. We're going to zoom all the way out and then bring it all the way back in.
Okay, let's start at the most personal scale possible, our own lives. This is all about those moments where pure luck, or maybe just a sudden change of mind, was the only thing separating a crazy story you tell your friends from a truly tragic ending.
The stories people share about their close calls are, wow. They are genuinely terrifying. I mean, just imagine it. You're exploring some abandoned building, standing on rotten wood hundreds of feet in the air, or your parachute fails at over 3,000 feet. These aren't scenes from a movie. They're real moments where people walked right up to the abyss and somehow managed to walk back.
So why? Why do we take these insane chances, especially when we're younger? Well, a big part of the answer might be right here, the prefrontal cortex. Think of it as the CEO of your brain. It handles all the rational thinking, the impulse control, and here's the thing, it's often not considered fully cooked until you're about 25. That could explain a lot, right? It's probably why taking a huge risk feels so different at 21 than it does at 31.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We're moving from the risks we choose to the physical forces that we can't really control, but we can learn to manage. And sometimes, in a real moment of panic, our gut instinct is the absolute worst thing to listen to.
Okay, picture this. You're in a four-wheel drive, and you start sliding down a super steep, slippery hill. What's the first thing you do? For pretty much everyone, it's slam on the brakes. But that is a huge, huge mistake. That just locks up the wheels and makes the slide even worse. The right move is, and this is going to sound crazy, you have to gently accelerate. Yeah, you need to get your wheel speed to match the speed of the slide.
So let's break that down. The second that slide starts, you have to fight every instinct you have that's screaming brake. Instead, a little bit of gas gets the wheels spinning again. That lets them find some traction and, boom, you get steering control back. Once you're pointing the right way, you can just use engine braking to get down safely. It's just a perfect example of how knowing the physics can save you when your gut reaction won't.
So we've gone from personal risks to physical ones. Now let's zoom out again and look at systemic risk. This is the kind of risk we actually design into the complex systems that run our world, like, say, artificial intelligence.
In a perfect world, this is exactly how we would build Safe AI. The European Union put together these 7 principles for what they call trustworthy AI. And they make perfect sense, right? Human oversight, safety, fairness, accountability. This is the blueprint for how it's supposed to work.
But the reality? It's a lot messier, a lot more chaotic. We've seen AI hiring tools that just learn to be biased against women, photo apps making these horrific mistakes, and my favorite, a lawyer who actually submitted a legal brief to a court that was filled with fake cases that ChatGPT just completely made up. The risk lives right in that gap between the ideal plan and the chaotic reality.
So this brings up a really interesting question. How do you manage a system that's super complex and kind of chaotic? Well, sometimes the best answer is to just embrace the chaos and build the rules around it. And for a perfect, real-world example of this, let's go to Fenway Park in Boston and look at its legendary left field wall, the Green Monster.
It is a massive 37 feet, 2 inches tall. It's this architectural quirk that completely changes how baseball is played in that park. It's what you'd call a managed variable. It's an element of chaos that's become a core part of the system itself.
And what's so fascinating about it is the character of this managed chaos. I mean, the wall still has a scoreboard that's operated by hand. There's literally a ladder attached to it. In fair play, that doesn't do anything anymore. It's just a relic. And get this, there's even Morse code hidden in the scoreboard's lines. The system is full of these weird, unpredictable quirks, but because everyone understands them, they don't break the game. They define it.
All right, now it's time for our final zoom out, the biggest one there is. We're going from the managed chaos of a baseball stadium all the way out to the grand, uncontrollable forces of the cosmos, where the risks are so huge they operate on a timescale we can barely even wrap our heads around.
What you're looking at here, this is what happens when entire galaxies collide. These simulations show how these beautiful spiral galaxies over billions and billions of years get pulled together by gravity, and eventually they merge into one giant elliptical galaxy. It's this slow, incredibly powerful, and completely unavoidable cosmic dance.
And this isn't just some abstract thing happening out there in the universe. This is happening to us. Our own Milky Way galaxy is on a collision course with our next-door neighbor, Andromeda. In about 4 billion years, the show begins. Our sun is probably going to get tossed into a whole new cosmic neighborhood, and in 6 billion years, the two galaxies will become one.
Now, before you start to panic, here's the really crucial part from NASA. Even though the scale of this is just mind-blowing, the amount of space between stars is so incredibly vast that direct hits are almost impossible. Our solar system is going to be fine. It will survive the trip. You could call it the ultimate near miss, a cosmic fender bender where we just end up with a new view.
So, we've gone from personal close calls all the way to cosmic collisions. For this last part, let's bring it all the way back home. And I don't just mean to our planet. I mean inside our own heads. Because some of the biggest risks we ever have to navigate are the ones that are internal.
Have you ever felt like a fraud? Like you don't really belong where you are and that any minute now somebody's going to figure you out? Well, that's imposter syndrome. It's a cognitive risk. It's a kind of internal chaos where no matter what the evidence says, you doubt yourself. It's that feeling of being on a razor's edge, even when you're standing on solid ground.
And this points to another internal challenge. See, for decades, IQ scores were actually rising. It was called the Flynn effect. But some recent studies have raised concerns about something called fluid intelligence. That's your ability to solve new problems on the fly. As you can see, that's different from crystallized intelligence, which is just the stuff you've learned. The worry is that while our bank of knowledge might be okay, our raw problem-solving skills could be slipping.
So, here we are. We live with the ghosts of our past mistakes, in bodies that are governed by physics we have to learn to override. We're building these chaotic systems we barely understand, all while hurtling through space inside a colliding galaxy. And the very tools we use to reason our way through it all might be in flux. So when you're faced with that reality, chaos at every single scale, the only real question left for any of us to answer is, what risks are actually worth taking?